Good evening, welcome to ITV News Meridian.
Tonight's headlines here in the south.
The car's been stolen, and then there was an accident because the whole of the road's closed off.
The 999 call from a drink driver who killed a cyclist. We're out with police as the party season gets underway.
Finding £24 million. Brighton and Hove announces cutbacks in services and a 4% rise in council tax.
Every day counts. We find out why a head teacher from Southampton keeps a jar of stones on his desk.
24 hours to go. We catch up with the 3 X Factor finalists, including Brighton's 5 after midnight. Good evening. He was knocked off his bike and left to die in the road. The driver, a mother of 3, was twice over the drink-drive limit.
Tonight, the family of Graham Rucroft are urging people to avoid alcohol completely if they're getting behind the wheel this Christmas.
In Sussex, 6 people were killed because of drink driving last year and 65 were seriously injured. In Dorset, 4 people died and 25 suffered serious injuries. And in Hampshire, 215 people were arrested for drink driving.
Well, with the Christmas party season in full swing, our reporter Mel Blore has been out with the police.
Police officers on patrol on the front line. They know drink driving can shatter lives.
I don't think we'll ever accept the fact that he's gone. You're still hoping that the telephone's going to ring. It's all a nasty dream.
On the evening of June the 4th last year, 54-year-old Graham Rucroft was cycling home when he was hit by a car and left at the roadside to die. He was found by a member of the public.
Basically, I was tipped like a bit of debris on the road.
Right.
And then as I looked down, I saw a guy laid on the pavement with a bike.
From what you've told me, it appears if there's light debris on the road, it appears he may have been hit.
Yeah.
Is the male being treated now?
He is, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Doesn't look too good, to be honest.
Oh, gosh.
Driving the car that hit Graham Rucroft was 27-year-old Maria Sutton, who'd been drinking all afternoon with friends. After fleeing the scene, she called the police, not to report the accident, but to falsely claim her car had been stolen.
I parked my car at the pub probably about 4 or 5 hours ago. The car's been stolen, and then there was an accident because the whole of the road's closed off.
5 days after being hit by Sutton, Graham Rucroft died.
I would have hoped that a year and a half later things would have been easier, and they're not. They're not. I mean, every Christmas we used to look forward to him coming up there, and it was one of the times that Graham used to thoroughly enjoy coming and be spending time with his family. It's never going to be the same. It's never going to be the same without Graham. We'll miss him terribly, and we always will do.
As Graham's family prepare for their second Christmas without him, police are pleading with drivers to steer clear of alcohol over the holidays. During the next few weeks, officers will be stopping motorists to check if they've had a drink.
What we are doing now is breathalyzing every driver committing a motor traffic offence. Have you consumed any alcohol in the last 20 minutes?
No, I haven't drank in about a week.
Excellent. If you're going to go out, have a designated driver, don't take your keys with you. Even if you blow a pass, it still means that you could be committing an offence because you could be impaired through drink or drugs, and the message we put forward, it's not worth the risk.
Drink driving remains one of the biggest killers on our roads. 1 in 7 deaths are at the hands of someone who got behind the wheel over the limit. Even under the limit, you're at least 3 times more likely to die in a crash.
You've been to the pub tonight, have you?
Yes, I have.
And how much have you had to drink?
I had a glass of wine, a small glass of wine. I feel quite frightened now, and I'm not ever going to drink again when I get in the car.
Catching over the limit motorists is a priority for police all year round. However, in the run-up to Christmas, there are more temptations to drink and drive. But with these random checks, there's also more likelihood of being caught.
If you're going to put yourself in that position behind the wheel, you are a danger not only to yourself but also to somebody else on the road. How would you feel, if you killed somebody else or had somebody in your family that, was killed in a road accident because they had had a drink that night?
Have you consumed any alcohol tonight?
I have at a point, yes. It's followed me from the pub, so yeah, fair play. If I was over, then I'll be over, and yeah, you would have caught someone.
Mine was 0, thankfully, but yeah, no, I think it's a really good campaign.
And one that's also welcomed by victims' families.
Don't do it. Just don't do it. Go out and enjoy yourself. Just don't drink and drive.
Take a deep breath and blow into the device until I tell you to stop.
Mel Blore, ITV News.
Meanwhile, in Sussex, 35 people have been arrested since the start of the Christmas campaign. In Dorset, 7 people have been charged.
In other news, Southern rail services have been severely disrupted today because of an overtime ban by drivers. There was no Gatwick Express service from Brighton and disruption on the Brighton line to London. Members of the ASLEF union are taking industrial action in a dispute over driver-only trains. Strikes are going ahead next Tuesday, Wednesday and Friday.
A woman's had her dog stolen from a pub in Bournemouth town centre. The woman in her 50s was taken ill and was being treated by paramedics at the Moon in the Square. But her handbag was stolen along with her black cockapoo. Police say the victim is distraught and officers have released CCTV images of a woman they want to speak to.
Now, cuts to services, job losses and a rise in council tax of almost 4%. That's what residents in Brighton and Hove are facing after a council meeting last night.
Well, government cuts mean they now have to save more than £24 million in 2017-2018. As a result, there'll be a £1.4 million reduction in some support for disabled adults, although the budget's still £29 million.
And almost £800,000 will go from the city's Healthy Child campaign. It also means a loss of 140 council jobs.
And a council tax rise of 3.99%. That's an extra £55 a year for a Band D taxpayer who's already paying over £1,500 a year. So what's the reaction from the locals?
Well, considering that they've just sold one of their biggest buildings on the promenade for I don't know how many millions, where that money goes to, it doesn't seem to go to the taxpayer, to the people that pay the council tax.
I do think it's a bit of a liberty, really, isn't it? I mean, my rubbish wasn't collected yesterday from outside our house, and things like that. You know, no, it's not good.
So, £24 million to save. However, it's been revealed today that Brighton and Hove Council earned just over £20 million from car parking fees in just 1 year. Earlier, I spoke to council leader Warren Morgan. Warren Morgan, thank you very much for joining us. £24 million to save, but you have just earned over £20 million for charging drivers to park. So why all the cuts? Doesn't one figure balance out the other?
Unfortunately not. The money that we get in parking income, which is surplus, not profit, all of that, every penny of that goes into funding the older people's free bus pass, which the government requires us to pay for. £24 million is the figure, but in all it's actually £68 million over 4 years up to 2018. Youth services, day centres already hit, more than 500 job losses already. Where else can you go? What are you going to do? Well, we've been facing these cuts for a number of years. This is the biggest year of cuts, and there really aren't any other places we can go to. We don't, as a council, like any council of any political colour, we don't run services that don't have a benefit, that don't deliver a long-term saving. So yes, these cuts are going to be extremely painful. We have made all the efficiency savings that you can. All of the fat has been trimmed. So now we really are facing up to a very, very difficult situation in the coming years.
So are the government being unreasonable? Have you just been spending too much money in the past?
If there ever was a time where councils were profligate, weren't efficient, then that's long gone. Councils are the most efficient part of government. We've been asked to make greater savings and have done that. But really the breaking point has come. The Local Government Association says that we can't continue. It's unsustainable to continue in this way. When social care costs are rising, we've got an extra £7 billion of social care costs. Social care costs £25 million more to Brighton and Hove than it does than we bring in from council tax, and I don't think people realise that. So the government really do have to think again about the £35 billion in tax cuts for the well-off.
These are really drastic figures. Brighton, a minority Labour administration. You'll need the backing from the Greens and the Tories. Briefly, will you get it?
We'll have to pass a legal budget one way or the other, and I'm sure that the opposition will have their suggestions, their amendments to our budget, but at the end of the evening we have to pass a budget. We're required to by law. If we don't set a budget, then the government steps in and sets one for us.
Difficult times. Warren Morgan, thanks for talking to us.
And a full council meeting to ratify the proposals takes place in February. Now, a Dorset schoolgirl has cut off most of her hair to date for charity. 10-year-old Charlotte Jackson, who's in Year 5 at Westmoors Middle School, is donating her hair to make wigs for children with cancer. Charlotte herself is in remission from leukemia and previously underwent more than 2 years of chemo.
Well, I felt like because I had this medicine that lost my hair, I felt like a different person to everyone because I didn't have hair.
We had a sort of talk about it, but I waited a while before we did anything about it because I thought I want to make sure she's certain that she wants to do it and she's comfortable with it.
There you go. You're watching ITV News here in the Meridian region. Coming up.
They think it's all over. It is now. Southampton's European adventure ends in frustration.
More on all of our stories, head to itv.com/Meridian. Any views or news, give us a call or get in touch via Facebook, or if you prefer, why not send us a tweet at ITV Meridian.
Now, for the last couple of days, we've been featuring the work of an inspiring secondary school in a challenging part of the south.
Yes, as you probably saw, hopefully we've been out on their attendance bus chasing up truants, and we've seen how a special unit at the school helps pupils at risk of exclusion. But Redbridge Community School is just an ordinary comprehensive with hundreds of hard-working, well-behaved pupils who want to do well.
Well, tonight our special social affairs correspondent Christine Alsford concludes her series Everyday Counts with a special report on the man in charge and how the school has changed under his leadership.
Hi guys. Right ladies, how are you?
Mr. Ashley is what you might call a hands-on head teacher.
Right guys, could stand off inside please.
While some schools have banned the water bottle challenge, he joins in. And then there's the tidying up, the litter picking, the constant greetings.
Morning Mikey, you right?
Oh, and enforcing the rules too, of course.
Gents, please don't run in the quad.
Touring the school reminds him just how much has changed since he arrived. So do these.
This was quite important to me. When I first came here, the school's behaviour was actually very, very poor. And these were the stones that were thrown at me from over on the back playground, just by the grass area.
Why do you keep the stones on your desk?
It's a reminder of our journey, I think. The school was a very unhappy place when I came here.
Jason Ashley's been at Redbridge Community School since 2011. With him at the helm, it rose to be rated outstanding by Ofsted. It's now said to require improvement. Yet the way he runs his school and his aspirations for his pupils haven't changed, even if he believes the goalposts might have done.
We are, working incredibly hard for our community, and various governments will bring in different performance measures, and we are supportive broadly about what the government are doing. However, the transformation of schools takes time, and if the performance measures and the GCSEs change, almost every year, we've got to guide this school through those choppy waters.
He also has to find his way through a mountain of data. The wallpaper of his office, sheets tracking the progress of every pupil in their GCSE year.
We map attendance, their English and maths. These are the rest of their other option subjects. This is then the actual progress they're making. So green is very positive. Amber means they're making good progress, but we still got to do a little bit more work with those students.
But as we've been highlighting, success here is about more than just improving exam results in an area with many challenges. There's an attendance bus to chase up truants, a special unit to help those at risk of exclusion, and a complex reward system that sees treats given out to those who try hard to do the right thing.
Would you say that the school is more carrot or more stick?
I would argue that the school is far more carrot. You get the best out of people by praising and encouraging them. It's very motivational.
All around the school, there are corridors of uplifting and wise words. And this is a big thing too.
What are one of the main kinds of classifications of animals?
Insects.
These classes are specifically designed to fill in any gaps in children's general knowledge, something pupils from disadvantaged backgrounds can struggle with.
I kind of feel that I'm in a school as the head teacher with students who I understand. When I was at school, I would be classed as a middle ability student. I grew up on a council estate in Gosport. My dad was in the building trade, sometimes struggled with his reading and writing. I often say to the students and to the staff, you know, if I can go to university, get a degree, qualify as a teacher, anybody can.
Mr Ashley and his team say the school is still improving. They might not have convinced Ofsted of that yet, but they do have the hearts and minds of the students.
Everyone here loves the school and would do anything for it. I am one of those people.
They're always there to just help you and they want the best for you.
It's their school at the end of the day. I'm just a very privileged individual that gets to be in charge of it.
His school community seem to think that means it's in very safe hands.
And Christine joins us now. Christine, what will you take away from this series?
Oh, so much. But I think the thing that's probably had the biggest impact on me is just how far some of our teachers are prepared to go in order to deliver a really good education for our children. If we just think about some of the inspiring stories we've heard about this week, we've had Paige, she's completely turned her life around thanks to the special unit that's within the school. And also Peter, he was on that attendance bus the whole time, and yet now he's in school, a 100% record this year. Now, a full version of his story is now on our website as well for anybody who wants to see it.
What questions did your time at Redbridge raise in your mind generally about education?
I think it raises a lot of questions really about what we value in education. We've moved very much now to this highly academic curriculum and it's less broad. There are fewer vocational qualifications. Does that suit every child? Is it equipping them with the skills they need for the future? And in some cases, does it run the risk of actually turning them off of school altogether?
Now, all schools are assessed in the same way. How do you think that works with this particular school?
Well, on the performance tables, there's no tick box for how much a school cares. Mr Ashley would be hard-pressed to chart on his wallpaper in his office how much he's improved the aspirations of a child in life. So I think it really does call for more debate about how we judge our schools and why we treat them by the same yardsticks when they're so very, very different.
Christine, great access, wonderful series. Thank you. Well, from school to sport and the saints who sadly became sinners. Ladies and gentlemen, we give you a broken man, Andrew Pate.
Yeah, the passport's back in the drawer. Southampton are out of Europe after a hugely frustrating night at St Mary's, as we can see from the Saints manager Claude Puel and the fans. A win or a goalless draw would have taken them through to the knockout stages of the Europa Cup, but in the end it was so near and yet so far.
Selco Builders Warehouse, proud sponsors of ITV Meridian Sports Report.
The fans were ready to play their part, keen for their European adventure to continue.
I'd love to go carry on. I had a lovely time in Prague, thank you very much. Lovely city, and I'd like to go to a few more games.
Scar for tonight's big match. Are Saints going to win tonight? 3-1. Both teams knew a win would see them through, but Saints just couldn't score. A goalless draw would have been enough to qualify, but Hapoel ended those hopes with their first shot on target. So Southampton needed 2, or they were out. Captain Virgil van Dijk struck in the 90th minute. There was just enough time for one last chance, but frustration for Maya Yoshida and all the Saints. It was winner takes it all, but the score draw means it's the Hapoel fans who are celebrating. The Southampton's European adventure ends in disappointment.
Very disappointed. I feel, to be fair, sorry for my language, but you know we need to do much better, and I think especially the first half. And we know it's going to be a tough game. We know how they play, and we know their strengths, but now we need to move on, bounce back on Sunday and get a positive result.
Well, Southampton host Middlesbrough on Sunday, while Bournemouth are at Burnley tomorrow. Today, the Cherries announced they're looking to build a new stadium away from Kings Park. They say as they don't own the Vitality Stadium, they need to look elsewhere, and their search has begun. I met up with Chairman Jeff Mostyn earlier this week to discuss the Bournemouth success story. It's gearing up to be Bournemouth's best season ever. Currently 10th in the Premier League and home to England star Jack Wilshere.
Well, Jack's raised the whole profile of the football club. It was one of those things that I think also ranks in, this football club will never get promoted to the Premier League, but we did. We'll never be able to sign a footballer of Jack's quality. His training is first class, his attitude is first class. We've never seen a single sign of what some people said, was an ego in London. He's just a real nice family guy. I think what it also helps us in the future is attract quality players, because people will look and think if it's good enough for Jack, it may be good enough for us.
Eddie Howe has guided the team up from League Two, establishing Bournemouth as one of the Premier League's most exciting teams. The chairman's just delighted Gareth Southgate was appointed England manager rather than Eddie.
I feel totally free now to be able to, extol the virtues that he deserves, because in the past I've been accused of shooting myself in the foot, that every time I've spoken about his, immense potential, then other clubs in England have, been knocking on the door. He's just a wonderful man to be around. He's inspirational. He is more or less part of our decision-making process, where probably few other managers in the Premier League or even the English Football League have the ability or the influence that he will have at a club. So we would say, why would you want to go somewhere else? So hopefully his life will always remain on the South Coast with us.
In the Championship, there are some fantastic fixtures this weekend. Third place Reading hosts sixth place Sheffield Wednesday, while tonight second place Brighton welcome fourth place Leeds. This week the Seagulls have been cheering up fans with some festive fun at Worthing Hospital. But of course for the managers of Brighton and Reading, their thoughts never strayed far from this weekend's matches.
They've got better as the season's gone on. They're in a good run of form at the moment. And we will certainly have to play at a good level to beat them. But these are the games that you want to be involved in. There'll be a big crowd at the Amex, and it's one that we have to make sure and look forward to.
If you look at their squad, they've got a lot of quality players within the squad. They've invested some money as well in bringing players in. So every player who's going to be playing up front for them is going to be a handful. It's going to be it's going to be very difficult to defend them well. And we've got the qualities to do it. We need to be focused on that and doing it well. And I'm sure we're going to be.
In League One tomorrow, Oxford welcome Oldham, while Swindon go to Sheffield United. And in League Two, Crawley are at Crewe, while Portsmouth look to get back to winning ways at Grimsby. So hopefully early Christmas presents all round from our football teams.
Let's hope so. Andrew, thank you very much.
Now, a young singer from Brighton is counting down the hours to a night that could change his life forever.
Yes, Nathan Lewis is a member of 5 After Midnight, one of 3 acts to make it to the X Factor final.
Well, Wesley Smith has been speaking to all of them and their mentors as they prepare for the big night.
Good evening, welcome to the X Factor red carpet. You can already see 5 After Midnight and Louis Walsh behind me here. We're within a stone's throw of the arena where tomorrow night the 3 finalists will surely undergo what is going to be a life-changing experience. It was a close-run thing for Matt Terry from Kent, who was in the sing-off last week, which could have brought his dreams crashing down. His mentor, Nicole Scherzinger, was never in any doubt about his talent.
I'm not going to lie, I would have told you I foresaw this.
Yeah. You couldn't have had a better mentor, really.
I always tell her I hit the jackpot with her. And she goes, yes, you did. Just kidding.
Kidding, not kidding.
5 After Midnight's Nathan is hoping the people of his hometown, Brighton, will vote in their droves to sweep them to X Factor victory.
We've had a bit of support from Brighton. Like, I've got obviously like so many friends and friends of friends and friends of friends of friends of friends. So yeah, we've had like loads of support from them as well. Like it's been great.
So how do you rate this guy as a mentor?
Amazing.
If from 1 to 10, 10.
Like, even if he wasn't here.
I'm honest with them because I think they're fantastic. I really do. I think the potential with these three guys is amazing. I want them to win.
And Sharon Osbourne's hopes rest on Sara Alto, who performed to a 10,000-strong crowd in her home country of Finland this week.
I don't want to be too stressful or nervous, so I'm just happy and excited.
That's a positive attitude. Really.
Yes.
Just how much of a support has Sharon been to you?
Oh, Sharon is amazing, so amazing. I love the way she's so honest. She's always telling me what she thinks about my songs and everything. It's really good.
Sara sounds quite cool, calm and collected about this. How about you? You got the butterflies?
Yeah, I do, actually, I do. You just never know. You know, it's all about that one performance. And so really your whole career is resting on that one performance now.
You can see the X Factor final tomorrow and Sunday at 8 here on ITV. Wesley Smith, ITV News, Wembley.
All
Look
very
forward
tense,
to it.
isn't it? Staying with the X Factor theme, here's Simon.
Yeah, Xmas Factor I've got for you.
Even
Quirky
better.
Christmas trees. These could be award winners. Simon Cowell would love these. Look, the first one here is at the RNLI's HQ in Poole. That's a Christmas tree made from plastic bottles. Very clever, very green. And that star on the top, by the way, is in fact your award-winning Bottle Boy, a low-cost life-saving device in areas where funds for rescue equipment are very limited. Meanwhile, as we're off to the University of Southampton's Hartley Library, where they've made a Christmas tree from books. Bit of a pain if the one that you want to take out is the one on the bottom left, I would have thought. But no fairy on the top there, instead a Thesaurus Rex. And finally, if you've got a palette like this, how do you make a Christmas tree from it? Well, Darryl Curley can and shows you how. Look, you throw in some enjoyable labour, he reckons. Well, who doesn't love a power saw? Then you need several nails and a bit of green paint. And then you end up with one of these, described by his wife as amazeballs. Who'd have thought it? Any more for any more, Meridian weather at ITV.com. What have you made a Christmas tree from?
A festive weekend forecast?
Probably not.
Probably not. Let's find out. Here he is again, Simon Parkin.
From blizzards to pool, driving through Europe. Eurotunnel the Shuttle sponsors ITV Meridian weather.
Well, consider this your weekend treat. A quick blast of sunrise or sunset. Dunch Hill was the location for David Hargrave. What do you reckon? Start or end of the day? If you said sunset, you're bang on the money and you'll be pleased. So there will be some sunshine through the weekend. Have to wait till Sunday for it. This rain comes through tomorrow. Then by Sunday, we've got a ridge of high pressure down to the southwest, which means a dry and settled day. Although out to the west, you can see the next lot of unsettled weather is heading our way. So next week will be a bit messy at times. For tonight, though, we are dry. You can see the rain is trying its hardest to sneak into the west, but it's going to miss most of us. There'll be some mist and murk overnight, fair bit of cloud, and it will stay quite breezy, but very mild. You won't need a hot water bottle. Temperatures up into double figures everywhere, and it will be a bit of a grey start to Saturday. The mist will lift, fair bit of cloud knocking around, and we should get away with a dry morning. It's as we head into the afternoon that rain band eventually starts to make inroads. Mostly light and patchy, the rain on it, and you can see there are some gaps too. Once again, a mild day tomorrow, though, 13 degrees, way above average for the time of year, but you probably won't notice because of that wind. Gusts of 30 miles an hour quite likely along the coast. Now, that rain continues on its journey eastwards as we head through the evening. Some heavy bursts before we finally see the back of it, but it should have cleared by around 10, 11 o'clock. And then you can see there are clear skies coming in behind. So a nippy start come Sunday morning. As for your high tide times, well, you can see in Brighton, 7:30 in the morning, 5 to 8 in the evening. And then Sunday, the better day of the two weekend days. Still a fair bit of cloud around, but also some decent bright breaks. The downside is it will feel a little bit cooler.
Eurotunnel the Shuttle sponsors ITV Meridian weather.
Now in just a moment, the ITV Evening News with Alistair Stewart and Ranveer Singh.
Stacey has got Alert News, so make a date to join her if you possibly can. But for now, from the team here at ITV Meridian, thank you very much, as always, for watching. Have a happy and peaceful weekend. Join us again next week. Take care.
Good night.
Just you.